Hi guys, it's Rod, and in today's video I'm going to cover Learning Limited. So that's something that you might have seen in an ad set inside your campaign. You may have seen it in more than one ad set, and I often get questions from people about what it is, what causes it, what can they do about it. So I'm going to cover all those things along with some common questions in this video. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm inside a client ad account here, and first thing I want to show you is what is Learning Limited. So you can see here we've got several ad sets that are in a Learning Limited phase, and they've all got varying amounts of optimization events. So essentially what Learning Limited is a status that's applied to an ad set, where it's a delivery status, which Facebook says that if you don't have at least 50 conversion events during a 7-day window, then an ad set can end up being in this learning limited phase. Now, in my experience, I've found that's not always the case. So an ad set will always start off in a learning phase, and if you make a significant edit to it, then it will go back to the learning phase. But I've found that if you have, say, an ad set that's had 27, 30 conversions, or conversion events, then it will quite often exit the learning limited phase even though it hasn't had 50. So I wouldn't say that 50 conversion events is a hard and fast rule. I've certainly seen a fewer number of conversion events on an ad set, and it's resulted in it exiting that learning limited phase. So what causes an ad set to go into the learning limited phase? So what Facebook say is that, well, in this particular case, because it's an e-commerce account, it's not generating enough purchases to exit. So if we have a look at the number of optimization events, which is 3, so this ad set is optimized for the conversion event, and so that's the reason why it's still in the learning limited phase. Now if we look at some of these others here and look over at the return on ad spend, you can see that even though this one is in the learning limited phase, the return on ad spend on the ad set itself is 27. So this one is 5. Got another one here which is 6.6. So just because an ad set is in the learning limited phase doesn't mean that it can't be profitable. So that's the first thing that people often ask me. Does that mean I can't run profitable ads? Well, yes, you definitely can. I personally rarely use cost caps in client accounts, but that's something you should have a look at. The next thing is that your audience may be too small. So particularly if you're running a cold audience ad set, and let's say your audience is only say 20 or 30,000 people, then you'll very quickly exhaust that audience, and that might be part of the reason why your ad set has run into learning limited. So make your audience size bigger. I would recommend that you don't have anything smaller than 100,000, and the only time you'd have an audience smaller than that is if you're running a retargeting ad set, and that's where you can have those smaller audiences in a higher frequency, and that's generally okay. And you might also have a poor audience selection. So if you've selected an audience interest that is not resonating with your ad whatsoever, then that could be one of the other reasons why your ad set is in a learning limited phase. And your ad copy or your ad creative may not be resonating with your audience either. So that's where an ad set going to the learning limited phase is really just a symptom of something that is underlying to the ad itself that you'll need to fix. And the last thing is related to budget. Now, I've had several people speak to me about learning limited phase, and when they have spoken to somebody at Facebook, the general advice was to increase their budgets so that they can have more conversions so that it can exit the learning phase. Now, there's nothing wrong with that advice per se, but it does make me wonder how much of this particular feature is geared towards having advertisers spend more on their ads. So I think that's something that you should keep in mind when you see this, is that if you've got everything right with your ads, so if you've got, it actually is generating conversions, you've got a good click-through rate, your cost per milli is around where you want it to be, then I think you've got to take all those things into account before you consider upping your budget. Now, obviously, if you're wanting to scale up, then that makes sense, but don't just up the budget just so that you can try to exit that learning phase unless there is a good reason for that. So upping the budget on a ad that's not resonating well, that's, has a poor audience selection, it's just going to end up with you throwing good money after bad. So on to questions. Now, there's 2 questions I commonly get. One is, should I change the campaign objective to be something other than for conversion? So should I change it to traffic? Now, my answer to that is always to have your campaign objective to be set to your actual objective. So if your actual objective, if you're in the e-commerce game, this is going to be to generate sales, then make sure that your campaign is optimized or has conversions as its campaign objective. Don't set it to traffic just so you can try to exit the learning phase. So if you have an ad set inside a campaign with a conversion objective, it's always going to outperform a campaign which has got a traffic objective. Assuming that this is for e-commerce, it'll outperform it every time, even if it's in a learning limited phase with the ad sets that are inside the campaign objective. So you could say even an ad set that is performing at half of what it could be, it's still going to outperform a campaign with a traffic objective. And the reason for that is a traffic objective, Facebook is just going to show it to whoever's going to click on the ad and create the most amount of traffic, where with the campaign objective, the algorithm is going to be a lot more selective and it's going to show it to people who are more likely to actually purchase, which is what you want. And the other question that I get is, should I change the conversion event that I'm optimizing the ad set for so that I can, get more of those so I can exit the learning phase? Well, once again, my answer to that is always don't do that. So always optimize for the event that you actually want to occur. So if you are wanting to get conversions, get sales, then optimize your ad set for conversions, and don't let the fact that the ad set is in the learning limited phase change your mind about that. You'll always get better results if you're optimizing for the event that you actually want to occur. So that's it for this video. Today we've covered what is the learning limited phase, what causes it, what you can do about it, how important it is, does it affect performance, and some common questions. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please go ahead and smash the like button, click subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. My intention is to produce content like this every week. If you've got any questions or comments, please drop them in the comments below. And finally, if you are wanting to have a chat with somebody about your Facebook campaign, whether you're thinking about advertising, whether you're already advertising, you're not getting the results that you would like, then we are currently offering free strategy sessions to e-commerce business owners. They run for about 30 to 45 minutes. And in that strategy session, we'll have a look at your business, have a look at what you're doing with your advertising, if you are advertising at the moment, and we'll put together a strategy for you for 2021. So these are completely obligation-free strategy sessions. Obviously, we conduct these because some people who we speak to want to work with us for implementation and work with us as a client ongoing. But as I said, there isn't any obligation for these, and we're only going to be doing these for a limited time because I've only got limited time myself. So if you'd like to do that, there will be a link below where you can go ahead and book a strategy session. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.